Two of the biggest young stars in basketball walked onto the same court, and this time, there was nowhere to hide. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. The superstar who changed the game in college versus the phenom who followed in her footsteps. And when the Indiana Fever faced the Dallas Wings on Friday night, fans got another chapter in what could become one of the WNBA's defining rivalries. Paige Bueckers was sensational. 29 points. But Caitlin Clark? 29 points too. And when the game reached its most important moments, it was Clark and the Fever who delivered. Indiana walked away with a 98-87 victory. So how did Clark outclass Bueckers despite both finishing with the exact same scoring total? Let's break it down. This wasn't simply another regular season game. It was another chapter in the Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers debate. Bueckers entered the game playing with enormous confidence, and she showed exactly why Dallas believes she can become the face of the franchise. She finished with 29 points, repeatedly attacking Indiana's defense and keeping Dallas in the contest. But Clark was just as dangerous. She finished with 29 points of her own, while helping Indiana control the game when it mattered most. And that's where this matchup gets interesting. Because basketball isn't simply about who scores the most points. It's about who controls the game. And eventually, Indiana began doing exactly that. Dallas actually led 37-35 at halftime, showing that the Wings weren't intimidated by the Fever. Bueckers had already established herself offensively. But Indiana came out of halftime with a different level of urgency. Clark began attacking, creating opportunities and putting pressure on the Dallas defense. And when the game entered the fourth quarter, the Fever found another gear. The Wings had fought hard. Bueckers had delivered. But Clark and her teammates kept making the bigger plays. That's what separates a great individual performance from a winning performance. Bueckers scored 29. Clark scored 29. But the scoreboard didn't say tie. It said, Indiana 98. Dallas 87. And here's the part that deserves attention. Calling this a simple Clark destroyed Bueckers game would actually undersell what happened. Paige Bueckers was excellent. The Wings were also shorthanded, missing several key players, which made her 29-point performance even more important. But Clark demonstrated something equally important: she knows how to win these games. When Dallas pushed back, Indiana didn't panic. When Bueckers caught fire, the Fever responded. And when the game needed to be closed out, Clark and the Fever's supporting cast made the difference. That's why the victory matters. Clark didn't need to score 40. She didn't need to completely embarrass Bueckers. She simply needed to make enough winning plays to leave the court with the victory. And that's exactly what happened. And here's the exciting part: this rivalry isn't going anywhere. Clark and Bueckers have already built a history that stretches from their college days into the WNBA. Now they're doing it on the biggest professional stage. And according to Sports Illustrated, their next WNBA meeting is scheduled for August 20th. So this chapter may belong to Caitlin Clark and the Fever. But Paige Bueckers isn't going anywhere. She just dropped 29 points. Clark answered with 29. And Indiana got the win. That's not the end of the rivalry. It's just another chapter. So tell me, who do you believe will ultimately win the Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers rivalry?